Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. Welcome to today's episode of 360 Good Morning Wrestling Fans. I am Lance Brock. Thank you for tuning in today, wherever you may be in the world. And on this Tuesday morning episode, we'll be talking about last night's WWE Monday Night Raw. And to start things off, though, I just want to mention last night being the WWE debut of new Raw commentator Joe Tessitore. I guess was on ESPN for quite a while, and now making his WWE commentary debut. And I just want to say, I know that last night's Raw was his first time calling pro wrestling, and he's, what I hear, has been a fan. And yes, it did seem like he did know what he was talking about during last night's show. But I'd have to say, for the first night of him doing commentary on Raw, so far, I really didn't care for it. And maybe it's just me, because it's something different, and old men like me need routine, so not used to it. Who knows though, maybe once he's been on Raw for maybe a few weeks or so, or maybe a few months, I'll get used to hearing his voice called WWE matches and maybe begin to like him. Who knows if I start to warm up to him or not. But apparently in January, when Raw starts on Netflix, and unfortunately Pat McAfee returns to WWE, which someone I have not warmed up to yet, still don't care for. They're going to be moving Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, or Michael Cole, back to Raw, I should say, to be the head commentator on Raw when it moves to Netflix, which the other day, the debut date has been announced now. January 6th is when Raw moves to Netflix. So that is another subscription I will have to add to my streaming service list. Luckily, still have a few months or so left though. And now on to last night's Raw. And Raw was live last night from the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. Our commentators for the show, as I already said, Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. And we had American Made, the Creed brothers, Brutus and Julius, teaming with Ivy Nile in mixed 6-person tag action, taking on the Alpha Academy, Otis, Akira Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree, with Ivy Nile getting the submission win over Maxine to score the win for American Made. And not a bad match, I have to admit. Ivy Nile looked pretty good. And as well as Maxine Dupree continuing to improve in the ring with her in ring work, I believe. And then after the match, Chad Gable gets in the ring, gets on the mic, and cuts a promo on Uncle Howdy. And next week, it will be American Made taking on the Wyatt Six in an 8-man tag team match next week on Raw. Shayna Baszler is in action, defeating Zelina Vega. Ilya Dragunov defeated Dragon Lee and Dirty Dominic Mysterio in one of the number one contender tournament matches for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. The Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn once again become number one contenders for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, defeating Damage Control, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. And Braun Strowman defeated Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser in the other triple threat match in the Intercontinental Championship number one contenders tournament. And Braun Strowman actually was in this match because it came out earlier in the day on Monday that Big Bronson Reed has tested positive for COVID. So that is the reason he was not able to compete on Raw last night. So want to send out get well wishes to Bronson Reed. Hopefully he won't be out of action for too long. And we have Damian Priest teaming with a former rival at one time. Main event, Jey Uso to defeat the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and J.D. McDonough. Also, I know I'm out of order here, but I saved this for last. The confrontation between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. McIntyre once again getting back the bracelet with the names of CM Punk's wife, AJ Lee, and his dog, Larry. This time, destroying it, tearing it up, putting the beads of the bracelet into CM Punk's mouth, and then giving him a Claymore kick, which the attack on Raw last night, I have to admit, looked pretty devastating. I said this the other day on an episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. I wouldn't be surprised at all, especially now with this attack. And then after, when they were putting CM Punk on the stretcher, he was bleeding from his mouth. Would not be surprised at all if at the Bad Blood Premium Live event we see Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk in a Hell in a Cell match. I'm sure everyone remembers Bad Blood being famous for the first ever Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. So I would not doubt if we see that at this year's Bad Blood, making its return to the WWE PLE schedule. And that is all for this Tuesday morning episode of 360 Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. In the comment section, you can go there right now and leave your thoughts on last night's WWE Monday Night Raw. and your predictions for this Saturday's AEW All Out pay-per-view, either right here on Spreaker, YouTube, or wherever you listen to 360 Wrestling Podcast at. If the website or app you listen to on has a comment section, just let me know right there, and I will be back right here tomorrow for the Wednesday episode of 360 Good Morning Wrestling Fans, and we'll preview tomorrow night's AEW Dynamite, which is the go-home episode before this Saturday's AEW All-Out pay-per-view. Hope everyone listening right now can once again join me tomorrow morning. But until then, have a great pro wrestling day.